Welcome everybody to another episode of Chris and Dave's Reality Cast. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris, and hello to our listeners out there. Welcome to Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. Not the TV Reality Cast. We are covering Love Island UK Season 7, Episode 37. Now, Chris, not the most dramatic of episodes. But, I'm not sure how long this episode's going to be, but where would you like to start today?
I think, Dave, there's a couple of little snippets and tidbits we'll get into, but I think we've probably got to put a full stop on the Faye and Teddy situation, because for me this was the biggest false fucking apology we've ever seen. They've absolutely got Faye in. I know they've got to do it because of like her mental health as much as Teddy's, and they've got to try and portray that she forgives, she's forgiving. But her episode yesterday, she was not for forgiving, Dave. That was 2 days since the incident, 2 full days that was, since we've seen it, and probably more including, so it's probably 3 days, and she was not for forgiving him. It was all his fault, everything. What has changed between then and now for her to fucking just go, hang on, I was completely out of order? The fucking producers, Dave, and I didn't buy any of that phony fucking shit tonight. I'm not having it. Everyone can and beg forgiveness, and I think Hennessy had a great point in our Discord chat tonight saying about you always have to, you should always forgive somebody and all that, and I completely agree with that, but it just didn't seem sincere, and I could be completely wrong, but I wasn't buying any of that nonsense.
Well, if you're completely wrong, I'm completely wrong as well, because I wasn't buying it. I think, we've all had arguments in our lives, and you get to either that point after, maybe an hour or two after, or maybe the day after. Chris, this is like 3 or 4 days. And,
yes,
you're not exactly sure, okay, so it's not like we're watching the events at 9 o'clock that unfolded in the day. So sometimes, they'll have an episode and it clearly is only 1 day, and you're never quite sure. It's not a one-to-one relationship, is it, episode to day? No. But you had at least a couple of mornings there, and she was doubling down. She was convinced she was in the right. She had no remorse whatsoever. She was still convinced that they were done. The only thing that could have changed her, or either she is like no other person I've ever known, which requires her like 4 days to actually have some remorse, or there's been some outside influence. So the producers have definitely had a word in her ear, said, look, this looks bad. You probably should think about an apology. Maybe they've shown her the footage, maybe they haven't, but they've definitely at least had a word in her ear. And I just didn't buy it. It's all too late. It doesn't make sense with any experience we've had in life, does it? So,
no.
Yeah, and so because you're already thinking, well, this... what I will say is, she might actually be remorseful. She might be. But it's taken someone else outside to prod her in that direction. And then, she still somehow manages to make it all about herself. Did you notice that? When she's talking to Millie, she just makes it about herself. It's not about Teddy, really. It's about her. So, I think Chloe had posted in our Facebook group, the old IT crowd guy jumping out of a window, I'm done. So I can't be any more done myself with this couple. But it's borderline disturbing, Chris, because they're playing this off like it was just a bit of a lover's tiff, and oh God, look at them now, they've got over it, it's all good. It's the way it's not reading the room in the slightest for me, because I think this was not a lover's tiff. This was something a lot more serious than that, in my opinion. But it's just played off like it's this, it's part of their journey. And I can see them going on to, at least the final from here if they can avoid another blowout.
Yeah, and you know what, Dave? I felt like I need to go and have a shower at the end of this fucking episode because of this incident. Not in a bad way, but it was like, why the fuck are all these idiots jumping in a pool? They've kissed.
Oh, God,
Teddy obviously has. It's pathetic. Teddy obviously has a thing, and he's a great guy. But he's got this thing where, and I know it's a cliche because it's usually, most of the time you see it where a girl or a lady will try and change a guy, who's been an absolute bastard, and they think that they can get the best out of him. And like you said, you were right, 95% of the time, Faye's a good person. But that 5% is what makes it edgy, what makes it so uncomfortable. It's not pleasant, and you're trying to eradicate that 5% of a person's makeup and personality, and it takes a long time for people to grow up, Dave, and it does, and we all have it, and we all have our faults. We've all done it and look back and go, what the hell did I do? He obviously thinks he can change her, and I keep saying it, I just don't think she's worth the squeeze at the moment. She might be in 10 years, she might be a wonderful person in 10 years, Dave. I fucking doubt it, but I think she could be if she really gets her act together. But Teddy's going to be in for however long they're together, and it might be as long as that fucking EasyJet plane lands in fucking back in London. But if they're together for ages, her behaviour will not change, and when it's just them two together, I will be amazed if that relationship lasts. I hope it would, and I hope that Faye does change as a person, because everybody deserves that second chance, but I just can't see it. And I was getting more and more annoyed at Teddy, thinking, why are you celebrating this? She should be celebrating you, and it's all like fail crack a joke then, and it's all forgotten. And when they jumped in Jake and that, I'm like, yous are fucking idiots. It's not fucking. I couldn't even explain it. I was sat there like this, like the face palm. I put my head over my hands, going, "Oh my fucking days!" But if that's what people of that generation want in a relationship and think it's great, then so be it. They're going to be in for a lifetime of heartache if they don't fucking realise that's wrong.
I was trying to think if this is a maturity thing, because I was trying to think, back to when you're in your early 20s and that, do you not pick up on these signs as well? I think the answer is probably you don't, but when someone's had that kind of blowout, when you've got that kind of level of toxic relationship, and then they get back together, I don't think you're like, yeah, it's great, let's jump in the pool. You're kind of like, oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah. When's this going to go off next? And I just hope I'm not around when it does.
And
it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and sorry to cut across you, but I've had this close experience on 2 occasions with friends and family when we've gone away, and I've seen it firsthand where members of my family have had a massive bust up, Dave. I mean, a fucking huge bust up on holiday, to the point where you're literally trying to hide under the table in the bar in front of like hundreds of people, and I'm like, oh my fucking days, what is, just let the ground swallow me up. It's something pathetic. One side of the arguments, say the ladies with Sam and the blokes kicking off, and I'm not going to be naming names, Dave, because this has happened a few times when I've been on holiday with my family, and that's why me and Sam and Jordan mainly go away with ourselves most of the time. But you sat there and it kicks off and it's embarrassing. You've got drinks going everywhere, or you've got I've seen a table fly over, I've seen. I end up like Mr. trying to defuse the situation. I'm trying just it's ridiculous because I'm, yeah. And you know me, I do like a drink with me and Sam on a Friday, but I'm not. If I go away anywhere, I'm not a massive drinker. I'll have a few drinks and then I stop. So I'm pretty much sober, and I've seen it. And what gets me is when you have that such volatile relationship, and you're like, it brings everybody into it. It's like me and Sam go, no, that's terrible. So the next day, this has happened loads of times. The next day, they come out like nothing's happened, Dave, all loved up. You know, they obviously had fucking the best fucking makeup sex you've ever seen in your life. Fucking Dirk Diggler would be proud of. And you're sat there going, I've just wasted fucking 5 or 6 hours. I've not slept thinking what's going to happen. And they never mention it, Dave. I swear to God, this has happened on 2 occasions. And they've come down and never mentioned a fucking thing. And it's like, you're all right, yeah, what are you having for breakfast? And I'm like, I'm going to fucking launch at you in a minute. You got us ruined a night of my holiday because you're pathetic. And I think that's what I get. And I know that we're just seeing a small snippet in an edited show. But the way they said, I honestly think, and it was mentioned tonight, that it may have been Hannah saying, this is probably one of the worst series of Love Island. And I think in stages, it has been, because I think the producers have just not stepped in and things have just got out of hand. All the things that the world is supposed to be about now, about people having a voice and everything, they've almost gone backwards. It's like this is one of the first series of Love Island. And if you watch some of that, Dave, you'd be like, oh my God, some of it's bad. And I don't know, I can't put my foot, look, I'll be here for the next series of Love Island. Let's be honest, I'm not going to fucking shut the door on it. I love it, but I just find that some of the decisions and some of the way some of these things have been played out, it's almost because Faye's a lady, she's allowed to do whatever she wants at times. And I think a lot of people have called that out, saying, well, it's the same. Teddy's been abused, but it's not had the same reaction from the producers. It has online. A lot of people have said it's wrong. And we've had so many great friends on our podcast, myself and you have talked about it, who have said this has triggered what I've had to go through. And if people are saying that, we're a small podcast, has a lovely and great outreach, but there is bigger, wider world. How many other people are watching this feeling uncomfortable, Dave, and they've done nothing about it?
And I think that whole bubble, that whole production team, as I say, has just failed to read the room. Ian Sterling deleted his tweet that was saying that Friday night episode, great episode. It's like, are you lot fucking serious? You know we're all in this for the drama, but there's a fucking line, you know? And it seems like they've just got into this mode thinking like, well, this is what we want. It's fucking not. And this redemption arc, I just don't buy. It's like they're trying to force this storyline. It's like, oh, Faye, she's been hurt in the past, and you know she can't trust people, and but now she's trusted Teddy, but that trust has been rocked a little bit. But they can get over this, and they're going to be this solid couple. It's like they're really trying to force this thing. These sort of things don't happen overnight. These things happen after years of therapy, Chris. You know, they don't happen on a reality TV show. Where, let's face it, the producers have prodded and poked at the different couples, you know, with the different like clips, and the movie night was probably the extreme of that, wasn't it? So, yeah, I just let's see what happens. I'm intrigued about what happens when they come out the villa, to be honest. I'm not invested in this couple whatsoever. And again, you know, I keep thinking back to it. Let's not rewrite history. We're not saying that Teddy was a saint, was an angel. And I think as well, Faye had used those words. She thought he was an angel in Casa Amor. I think, Chris, she thought that he was basically curled up on the sun lounger with the Teddy, crying his eyes out for 4 days. I think, you know, and anything less than that is not good enough. You know, exactly. So I think, unfortunately, if she's holding any human being to that kind of standard, I think she's going to be let down and disappointed. Teddy, as far as we could see the whole picture, the whole context, you know, didn't do anything wrong at all. He was a bit flirty. We said at the time, you know, probably wasn't the most advised. You're on a fucking reality TV show. This is not like just having a chat, having a bit of a flirt at the bar or something. You're on a reality TV show where people are looking for these nuggets all the time to stitch you up with later. This is not season 1 of a show that we've never seen the likes of before. You know what's going to fucking happen. And I think it was a massive difference. I think Chloe gave a lesson tonight with the chat with Aaron on how you can be funny, you can be like a little bit flirty, but ultimately, you know, the door is not open. The door is clearly shut. You know, she shut Aaron down, really. She said, you know, she's liking seeing Toby squirm a bit, but, you know, her head's with Toby. So I thought, honestly, Chloe's shutdown of that situation was better than Teddy's. But again, I just think, I don't fundamentally think Teddy did anything wrong. But let's say for a minute, he did do something wrong. He was less than divinely. Still didn't warrant that response.
No, and I think you've made up a segueing slightly off, Dave. Is Chloe brilliant? Toby needed to sweat, Dave. He needed to sweat and feel how she's felt, how Kaz's felt, how fucking Mary's felt, and he did. And that, to be fair, she's played a blinder, Chloe, because it's brought them together, Dave, more. And you can see there is a proper chemistry between them, and there is a chemistry between Kaz and Tyler. Didn't see much of them tonight, but I think with them two, there's still now the people I want to win. I don't know how the hell I've come to that conclusion, but I just think everyone else is just fucking nonsense. Them two are very self-centered and channeled, but it's in a way of like, for some reason they just seem to work at the moment. So I'm all for them two going all the way, but I will say we get Priya in the new girl, very pretty girl. She's a ultra marathon runner days, 100 mile plus runs. She said she'd done a 100k run. Her and Matt then were having this fitness challenge, and I tell you what, Dave, there is a bit of chemistry there. There is something there. I don't think it's fun, and she seems like she's actually a normal, got a normal perspective on life. I think Priya is very. And Dave, look, let's talk about this, because Chris Phelps has made a cardinal sin, haven't I, with Priya, and I've been called out a few times over the last few days, and I'm blaming it all on you, Dave, because I'm sure you told me that she was a trainee nurse, so I'm blaming it on you. The fact that
no chance. Chris, we are a team apart from occasions like this.
So sorry to everyone out there who's called me out, and then we've got an email about, we've had Instagram messages. I said she was a student nurse, and I remember saying it thinking, 5 years studying, I bet she's a doctor and I've got that wrong. But we'd already done the fucking episode. I was like, oh, you bellend, Chris. So someone said, what did they say? Someone said to me on Instagram, didn't they, Dave, that, you know, you talk about, what's it, gender stereotyping. I'm like, sorry.
I was keeping this one in the pocket to the emails, but let me bring it up now that you've mentioned it. So this is from Nick, and it says, "Hi, love the podcast. But can you stop saying Priya is a nurse? She's a medical student training to be a doctor, and you said nurse in the last 2 podcasts. Sorry, just feels a bit like gender stereotyping. Lots of love, Nikki." So, what do you say, Chris, to this alleged raging misogyny?
I didn't fucking read the press release on Priya and just assumed, and I should never assume, because it makes an arse out of me. Well, not necessarily you, Dave, but it does out of me. So I apologise. I didn't click. And honestly, when I said it on yesterday's episode, I'm thinking, that's a long time to study to be a nurse. I know it's a very, very technical job. And I'm thinking, I bet she's a doctor. And I knew, and the sooner you were pissing yourself, you were sending me these things, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. So I apologise, guys. I got it wrong. I am allowed to be wrong once a year. This is my one time.
Once a year.
Once an episode. Yeah.
But I mean, I will give Priya a bit of stick. A celebrity crush is apparently Boris Johnson. I mean, fucking hell. Come on.
God, get out. Yeah, get out.
Indeed.
That's a power thing. But I do think her and Matt look pretty good, Dave. They had a press-up challenge. They were doing other things. She really likes his body. She said, like, he's a good guy. I liked it. I like him. I think they look good together, Dave. And she seems to fit in.
He's got a personality as well, hasn't he? You know, it seems it has come out, and it could have been one of those editing things. But yeah, he's definitely got a personality, and I agree. You know, he seems to have more of a twinkle in his eye, doesn't he, around Priya? And
definitely.
He's got a body like Phelps, hasn't he?
Yes,
Michael
swimmer.
Phelps.
Yeah, yeah, not the
Chris
Phelps. Not at the moment, Dave. Mine's under construction again, so let's not fucking get any pictures of my body at the moment. At one point, you could have had as many as you want, but not at the moment, Dave.
Yeah,
it's my love of reality TV and my lack of real training these days, I think. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I think let's see. I don't want to overplay it, but the whole thing about Boris Johnson does leave a sour taste in my mouth, to be honest. But let's see how they go on as a couple. I mean, Chris, what did you reckon to the old the Sexy Gods challenge? Because I think Tyler in particular, for the pull-up challenge, I seemed he only had to get on his tiptoes
to get up. Yeah,
he didn't have to jump or anything. What did you reckon to that?
I don't know. I sound like a right moaning mini recording today, Dave. I'm just bored of them challenges. I mean, they're a bit of fun. And the best bit about it, to be fair, was fucking Jake couldn't get out. Yeah. I was pissing myself. It took all the guys to get him out. That was funny, that. I must have been pissing ourselves.
Sort of about, I leave my bollocks on or something.
Yeah, it was good because he couldn't get out. He couldn't get that. That was funny. And seeing the guys struggle with the Atlas Stone and that, it was good. It's just the same old stuff, innit? When they all go up for a kiss, and I think Matt had to do 20 pull-ups before Priya gave him a proper kiss, and she was laughing, saying, well, I'm going to make him work. Good on her, Dave. So no, it was all right. Like I say, Jake, he did, and we were laughing out loud at Jake because he was just pure fucking comedy. So yeah, that was funny, that, to be fair.
He'd stepped too far, hadn't he? He tried to make too much of a leap and got himself caught there, and then because he's stretched so far, he couldn't get any strength, and then he just kept sinking lower and lower. Yeah, that was good stuff, that.
It was. Hey, Dave, what was going... Sorry, go on, Dave.
No, go on.
I was going to say, what was going on? I must have missed that. Well, what was going on with Kaz taking all the pictures of Liberty? Are they for Jake or something? Because there was the proper Vogue moment. I was thinking, I missed something here.
There was no context, was there? But what I thought was they probably had a chat or something, and Liberty's not feeling at her sexiest, because of what Jake had said.
Ah, yeah.
And so Kaz is like being amazed, like, let's take some sexy pictures of you, and like doing the old photographer thing. And I thought that was what it was all about. And actually, Chris, yesterday we didn't address the mystery of the bracelet, did we? Which took up like fucking ages in the episode, and no one cared about. With Liberty, she thought she'd lost the bracelet.
Oh God, yeah. Oh,
so you're right. There's these little subplots that just aren't too interesting, I guess. But like I say, I think the photo shoot thing, I thought that was just Kaz and Liberty mucking about. But it was probably born out of the fact that Liberty's not feeling great at the moment.
Yeah, and look, I get that. And she should never have to justify that to make Jake find her attractive. He has got to make every effort now to show her how much he loves her, the touch game. He's got to be really, he's got to justify it, Dave, if he is being genuine. And I hope he does. She deserves that. She's a lovely girl, Dave. And she says, keeps saying it, doesn't she? I'm not a supermodel like these others. You should never judge yourself off the other girl. She's a pretty lovely girl, and that's it. He should be proud to have her on his arm as his girlfriend, Dave, and he's got to do a lot to prove that he actually means it. So no, she should never do that, and I hope for her when she comes out, she doesn't think I need a load of cosmetic surgery in that, because she's a pretty girl. She doesn't need that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And Chris, again, you've unintentionally. I need to segue into something now, because we're kind of touching on this. But let me share my screen so you can hear this voicemail from Joe.
Hi boys, it's Joe Russell again. Just wanted to say hi, not checked in for a while. I wanted to do two things today on this voicemail. Firstly, I want to say that I think Jake, whilst I don't like him and I don't want him with Liberty, I think Jake is getting a little bit of a hard time about the comment that he made early days about, I don't want to rip her clothes off, but I quite like her. Because everyone's going on and on and on, and you boys are, about, I should never have said it, it's terrible. He didn't say it to her. He didn't say it to anybody that he thought might tell her, apart from a TV camera. You know what I mean? He said it when he was talking to the lads about how he felt. And I think he didn't say it in a horrible way. It was just like, oh, well, this is where I currently am. And I don't think it's terrible to say that to your mates when you're discussing a relationship, because it was early days. It wasn't like it was last week or after they'd got together as boyfriend and girlfriend. He just said it. It was how he felt at the time. It's not nice to hear. Of course it's not. But I feel like we should give him a little bit of a break for saying it to his lad mates, because I think you are allowed to say things like that, you know, when you're sounding off about something. So whilst I don't like him, I think we should give him a bit of a break for that. The second thing I wanted to say is to Chris and his reality radar. Now, on the latest episode, I've just heard you talk about Teddy and Mary, and will they get together? Can I, my darling Chris, point you to a WhatsApp message I sent Dave on the 31st of July, which says, and I'll read it out, prediction, Teddy and Faye will get back together, but in the real world, he won't cope with her insecurities, so it will end. He will end up with Mary. You heard it here first. 31st of July, sent to Dave. Am I the real head of the reality radar? Boom!
Oh, Dave.
What say you to the reality radar, Chris, being called into question? Is it the reality radar?
I actually created and trademarked the reality radar, so whether I'm wrong or not, it is my thing. And also, I can't even think with this with Jo. I mean, she's had to backtrack several times, Dave, when she's come at us, and she's gone, you know what,
easy.
You guys...
Once,
maybe once. That doesn't matter. Let's just say it once, because she's going to get us again. But what you've got to think of is, Dave, that... I've been here for years watching reality TV. I know the score, Dave. It's very rare that I get anything right, but sometimes I do. So, Jo, I will bow to your superior knowledge, and I think she could be right, Dave. So, great message from our good friend Jo again. And I'm not going to go out of Dave because she scares me. So there you go.
Now, what do you say to the first bit that, you know, we're all giving Jake a little bit too hard of a time, because ultimately he was just talking to his mates and trying to figure out, you know, his own head and where he's at.
Yeah, look, I think Jo has a point, but I think what's happened with Jake is he's accumulated a lot of things he's done behind the scenes that Liberty's not been privy to. Obviously, she's just seen that, and it's like a snowball rolling down a hill. He started with that comment. I don't think necessarily it's horrendous in the context of the show if it's within an hour of being in there. And like you'd said about her, she stepped forward for Brad, even though she had Jake there. Mm-hmm. And that was like just purely on looks. But I think as it's gone on, that comment's become more to do with Jake's personality, that he is playing a game. There's a bit of snakiness there. He may find her, and she's absolutely... I mean, he keeps saying, you're my girlfriend. It's how you take the context of what he said. But I think because he's done various things trying to break people up and things like that, this all, to me, points towards game playing to try and win the show. So I think Joe's right. One flippant comment with his mates, whether he's trying to be Bertie Big Bollocks, you know, I'm not that into it, you know, to be a typical bloke, oh yeah, she's chasing me and all that nonsense. Fair enough, he's been a bit of a dick. But I think over the time of the show and what we've seen, it just seems to be he's got a little bit of a darker side that, you know, hopefully it's just purely for the show and he's a great bloke and him and Liberty live happy ever after. I just don't buy it. And I think for me, that's where I stand on that.
I think I stand somewhere slightly different. I think the conversation Jake had with his mates about, you know, how he feels about Liberty in that first week, I think is an absolutely fine conversation to have with your mates, you know, because it's early days. You're trying to figure out, you know, the other person, figure out your own feelings towards that person. And sometimes, you know, you want to articulate that and maybe not in the best way, but you want to get things out of your head and bounce them off other people. I think all of that was 100% fine. But he's not just having a conversation with his mates, is he? Jake clearly has watched this show, a lot, and definitely has a game plan. He's been filmed pretty much, not even 24/7, is it? Because they get the day off, and there's moments outside. So I just think, I can't believe in that first week that he has such a lack of awareness that he's being filmed all the time. That, he articulate that. A little bit like the Teddy thing. I thought, well, I'm technically single. It was like, it's probably going to come back to bite you. I didn't think quite that badly, but, so I think that was the mistake, was, it's on a reality TV show. It's not just having a chat with your mates and it's going to go no further.
Yeah, I agree. Dave, that's a great point. Great point. The cameras don't lie, Dave. They never lie. You get it in Big Brother, didn't you, for years, where people thought they got away with it, and then all of a sudden they were like, actually, no. So I don't know what they're going to do. The Twitter game, obviously, isn't going to happen now, because I'll say that, and then probably tomorrow night's episode will be like, tonight. And I'm like, all right, shut up, Chris. But I think me, you, Joe, and everyone listening, we all have a point on Jake, and I don't think any of us are necessarily wrong. It's just there's just something off with him slightly.
But I also think Jake and Liberty have been through their wobble now.
Yes.
And they'd been coasting for a while, so they had to kind of have some kind of wobble, and it's come to light about the comments about not wanting to rip her clothes off. Still don't know quite how. I know what is meant by that, but it still sounds a bit Biff fucking Tannen to me. And the whole thing with winding up the other lads to basically go and do bits, and I know everyone has their own mind and can do what they want, but I think we'd all be lying if we said we aren't influenced a bit by our mates, aren't we?
Yeah, I agree with that.
So,
I agree.
So yeah, I think let's see, but I think I don't think that Liberty and Jake will split up. I think they've had their bit of a wobble and will now coast through to the final.
Yeah, I think you're right, Dave. I think you're right. What do you think, Dave, just before we get towards the end, but what do you think of Mary and Aaron? This whole little thing he was doing with Mary. Are we buying into this relationship? I mean, a lot of people are saying online they want these two to win now, just for the simple fact it balls everyone else up because of all the U-turns and the things that people have accepted, as we've talked about. I think that, and not just to put it on Mary, because Aaron could be the same, but I think Mary's well aware of the room that she's sat in. She knows what she's doing, the influence, the way she's pied off Dale all of a sudden when we had like this Oscar-winning performance a few days ago. I think with Mary, she's very likeable. She's got a nice personality. She's got a nice smile. She's very aware of it. She's not done anything bitchy per se, but she definitely, as you said before, and I know we both keep saying this phrase, but she's definitely aware of reading the room, Dave, and she's doing a very, very good job at the moment. Aaron, great, he's a great lad, great body on him, he got a personality, maybe gutted he shouldn't have been in a bit earlier, Dave. I think he would have brought a bit more to the villa than this last maybe 10 days, but they could potentially swoop in, because I think that the fatigue on all the other relationships is what could be them maybe getting even into the top 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think if they get through to the final, it's because everyone else is so crap.
Yes.
I think, I'll be honest, Chris, Aaron comes across like a complete player to me. Yeah. And I don't mean a football player. So he's too smooth. And he was really going after Chloe. He kind of gave the impression that Chloe was his number one. And, but then he's trying to make this brunch, and they're doing the whole setup for this brunch. And I was just like, oh, God, this feels so forced, And like you say, I think Mary, I don't know what her personality is. It seems to me she comes across like she's almost on Towie, that she's just very, very aware that the cameras are there. And when she's saying in the VT, like, oh, I just don't want the conversation to end. I'm like, what? That same conversation that I was just watching, really dry conversation about nothing. I just, that one you don't want to end. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything in the game yet with them two, other than they haven't fucked up like some of the others.
Yep, I agree. Now, Dave, as you get older, you lose your hearing, right? So you know, some of us keep it, some of us don't, but you know, your eyes go a little bit. You've got to start wearing glasses. I've got to give full credit. I think it was Priya and Chloe. They must have the best hearing I've ever heard, because this fucking Brett character, who I have checked, guys, he is a doctor. I'm going to get it slated even more. He's training to be a doctor. I should have researched Priya. Again, I have to hold my hands up there. He comes in, looks completely out of place for me. It doesn't look like a Love Island, almost like Chug's levels of, you know, he looks like he's a bit upper class than that. And he comes in and he does this, and they hear him, Dave, from literally 70 yards away. I'm calling bullshit, mate. Absolute bullshit, that. But we have got another contestant going in, which has surprised me.
What a shit bombshell, Chris.
I know.
This guy.
Fucking rubbish.
I'm not saying he's got a crap body or anything. You know, if he stood next to me, he'd look great, I'm sure. You know? But he looks to me, you like your gangster movies, don't you?
Yeah.
He looks like the sort of person who should be cast as the snitch. You know, he's the sort of person who the police shake down to get information out of because they know he'll break quite easily. That's how, if I was a casting director, that's who I'd have him as.
Rise of the Foot Soldier 25, yeah.
It just looks out of place on Love Island. I just find it bizarre. And to send someone in so late, like season 5, sending in Greg, fucking rugby player, chiseled from granite, genuinely seemed to be a nice guy until he dumped Amber by text, but that was after the show. On the show, he seemed like a genuinely nice guy. That is the sort of person you need to send in at this point. I'm not buying the other guy. What did you say his name was?
Brett,
yeah. And he doesn't look like a Brett either. But yeah, so, I mean, let's see. It just seems a bit of a waste of time, really. I am surprised. I thought Aaron and Priya would be the last two they'd send in. But, you know, they're going to squeeze... This is the penultimate week, isn't it, pretty much? You know, full week. And they're going to squeeze that last bit of drama before we get into all the, you know, the usual cliche things in the final run-in.
Well, I've got a reality radar prediction on this guy, Dave. Are you ready for this? Hashtag reality radar or hashtag Chris's reality radar. Not that anybody's hashtagged or even put that on social media, but we'll get it there at some point. Is this Brett, and I'm going to go back to a situation that I had when I got married to the wonderful Samantha. One of our family members came to me and said, it wasn't family, actually, it was a friend, and said, this is to Sam, how many bridesmaids have you got? So Sam's like, I've got 3. I've got like my sister, my cousin. In fact, no, we had 2 bridesmaids, Dave. I should remember that. Yeah, so it was Sam's
if you're going to tell a story, it's helpful if you remember it first.
Yeah, especially Sam's going to be listening to this going, you dickhead. And we got
it wasn't my wedding. It was someone else's wedding.
It's someone else's. Oh, yeah, I remember that. But
Grandpa Simpson.
Oh, I'm going to get a fucking 11 now. She's going to crack me on and go, it was fucking 3, you dick. But anyway... We got approached by, or Sam got approached by a friend who said, I would like to, this is my analogy of Brett, I would like my granddaughter to be your bridesmaid. And Sam was like, well, in what context? I've got other family members. I've got 5 sisters, Dave. She could have picked someone on my side as well, you know. And I understood that she didn't pick them. You know what I mean? That's fine. But this woman comes and said, I will pay for her dress. I will do everything. I just wanted to be a bridesmaid. I don't think she's going to be a bridesmaid. So we were like, well, all I'll say to you is fuck off. And this Brett seems like he's related to somebody who's the producer or the director of Love Island, who's gone in there and gone, I want my son to be on this show, whether you like it or not. I fucking produce it. He's coming on. And something's gone on there because I agree. Whether he's coming in to get Priya, who we've only just met, it's not like Matt and Priya are this massive couple and they've been together like Jake and Liberty from the start. So they're bringing in somebody who is working in the same field as Priya, which he will be because they're both trainee doctors, not nurses, people. I apologise. I don't know. It just feels like someone's fucking give somebody a backhander and gone, any chance you can get my son on the show? And he's just there, sat there. I don't get it. I don't think he's going to be pulling any trees up between now and the end, Dave. This guy could be out before we even know it.
I mean, he could, in theory, have a really good chat, couldn't he?
Yeah, he could.
Because I don't think we haven't really seen anyone. I can't think of anyone this season, let alone who's in now, who's got really good chat.
Yeah,
so
he could.
Maybe that's the thing that we'll see tomorrow, possibly.
Exactly. Well, I could be right, Dave, and I could be wrong, and it's usually that I'm wrong. So anyway, we've had 2 emails, a new Patreon, and a bit of an announcement, Dave. So this one's from our good friend Derek, who has done some amazing, we keep saying it, his statistics on our Facebook page. Chris and Dave's reality TV cast is outstanding, guys. It's brilliant. We said it yesterday, but Derek honestly put so much work into that. We can't thank you enough. And his email says, Millie and a possible game plan. Hi, guys. Just a random thought. You know how you are so disappointed in Millie for taking Liam back after his antics in Casa Amor? Maybe she has a game plan to get her own back and restore people's support for her, or at least those she lost by accepting his infidelity. Would it not make a fantastic moment if Liam and Millie were to win, and then Millie turns around and takes the money and says, that'll teach you to kiss Lily in Casa Amor? Dave, God tier. I would put a picture of Millie up in my house, actually, I must admit, and then say, yeah, we're done, in her best Irish accent in tribute to Matthew. Is this the year where the in it for love or money question in the final actually has a use? Never going to happen, but you can imagine. Love the podcast, guys. Keep up the great work. All the best. Derek, in brackets, the stat man. So he is our stat man, Derek, Dave. Absolutely brilliant. And then we've had one from Lorraine as well.
We have, and I'm going to take pleasure, if it's okay, I'm going to read this one,
Chris.
Yeah,
you can read this one, Dave. I'm backseat on this one.
Hi, Chris and Dave. Hope you're enjoying your holiday, Chris. Dave, so sorry to hear what you enjoyed at the end of your marriage, and hats off to you for speaking about it publicly. I'm sure you have helped many people with your openness and honesty. I've just watched the latest episode, and to me it reeks of a producer-led ratings boost of an episode, with Teddy and the Faye recoupling. Faye not only needed to apologise to Teddy, but also to the rest of the villa for her disgusting behaviour. Actually, that's kind of what you were saying, wasn't it, Chris? The couple having the argument, or the people having the argument, it has an impact on everyone around them as well. In regards to that scenario, I kept wondering, where was Mary when Faye was kicking off? Mary was in Casa Amor and saw firsthand Teddy sleeping alone outside. Why didn't Fairy? Why didn't Mary intervene and tell Faye of all of this? As for Millie and Liam, I shake my head with disbelief. So Liam cracks on with someone, with no regard to Millie. He gives some bullshit producer-led speech, and all is forgiven. Then, on tonight's episode, Millie is draped across his back on the daybed, giving him a massage. I am done with these two. Who would have thought Chloe and Toby are the entertainment we all needed at this stage? Are you ready for this bit, Chris? This is my favourite bit. Finally, I have to correct Chris on his monumental error. Priya is a medical student and is studying to be a doctor and not a nurse, as Chris incorrectly stated in the podcast. She even said she was 2 years away from being a doctor. Obviously, Chris knows career paths as well as his knowledge of shoes. As always, loving your podcast and teasing Chris. Signing off for now, Lorraine. Now, Chris, a lot of the Love Island crowd might not know about your knowledge of shoes, because that was a Bachelor thing, wasn't it, where you declared that these were Jimmy Choos. You delighted in it, educated me about these Jimmy Choo shoes.
Fuck off.
Yeah, Dave. They're red soles. They're Jimmy Choos, those are. I think that was a record email day, that one.
Right. Dave, I've got nothing. I've been called out by everyone. I'm just a fraud now. An absolute fraud.
Oh, you love it. So got no reviews today, but Chris, in terms of announcements, so we have been informed of a really exciting development. So 90 Day Fiancé, is that that show you've seen, Chris?
I have actually, Dave. I've never watched the full season in its entirety, but I know the premise, and it's all to do with getting like a visa and so on. This, Dave, this is right up our street. And yeah, I'm so pleased that, you know, someone's approached us and asked the question, haven't they, Dave?
Well, they've asked. So they're going to be doing casting throughout August, and they've asked, do any of our listeners fancy applying? Now, if you wanted to apply, I had the email up a minute ago, but I shut it down like an idiot. Hold on. If anyone wants to apply, this is going to be filming throughout September through to March. And you can email them at 90dayfiance@cplproductions.co.uk. There's also an application form if you want to do it that way, and that's at shortaudition.com/love-abroad. And we'll pop those two links into the show notes as well. Now, Chris, I have not honestly seen this one, but my daughter, I mentioned to my daughter that they were going to be doing a UK series, and she was really excited and showed me this clip of one of her favourite episodes. It's this guy called Ed, and he must be, you know, pushing 50. Kind of looks like one of those little rock trolls that you've got in Frozen. You know, and basically he's coupled up with this Filipino girl who's about 23 and looks very young, and he gives her a present, Chris. He gives her a present of mouthwash followed by a toothbrush and some toothpaste.
Oh my God.
I'm going to have to dig out the YouTube clip. It is one of the most uncomfortable things that I've ever seen. And I saw it and I was like, right, I'm in.
Yeah, we are in. And I know anyone who's not seen it, there's different variations of the franchise, because I've seen the US one, I think it's an Aussie one, and it's on Discovery Plus. I think if you've got Sky, you get a 3-year trial of Discovery Plus. It's their new streaming platform, because I've seen Discovery Plus have put a few different shows on their reality stuff. So I'm like, you know me, I'm itching to trigger happy. Like Sam's like, should we watch a film? No, let's have a look at this, you know, but... Look, we're honoured that the actual production companies contacted us, Dave. You know, our gobby analysis could be exactly what this show needs. So we are going to cover this when this comes out next year, aren't we? So definitely be one of the shows. But we keep getting asked, Dave, for different shows to cover. What you're doing next? What you're doing next? And it's like, I don't know. Love Island's coming to an end. I know we've got The Bachelorette and we've also got Love Island US, but we need to have some sort of break, because...
I think we'll have a couple of weeks off after Love Island UK, to be honest.
Yeah, and then we'll be back, guys. So no, thank you. That's brilliant, Dave. So yeah, get over to there if you're interested in that, or just want to see 90 Day Fiancé. It's magnificent, absolutely magnificent. So guys, if you are interested, please follow them links that are in the show notes, and as Dave's mentioned, because it is just a magnificent, ridiculous reality show that we absolutely will be getting on board with. So yeah, I can't wait to go through that one, Dave. And I can't wait for you, because I've got a bit of context to it, what your reaction's going to be, because these aren't models, Instagram, these are normal people, Dave. And yeah, brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, awesome. So again, if people know the context of the show, it's about someone who, because it's a UK show now, it's going to be about someone who's British, someone who's dating and potentially, has 90 days to get married or not get married, but someone who's not British. So yeah, can't wait for that one.
Oh, brilliant.
Now, Chris, how can people get in contact with us?
On social media, guys, at CD Realitycast. If you want to email us, cdrealitycast@gmail.com. As always, get over to Facebook, Chris and Dave's Reality TV Cast. Get over there, some great stuff, as we mentioned Derek earlier, and join the channel. And if you do want to support us, patreon.com/CD Realitycast. We have a new Patreon, Dave, so roll call of honour for today. We've got Ken, Lucky Lulu Green, Lauren, oh my gosh, Dave, she's going to have me for that. Lauren, Tracy, Hayley, Hennessy, Susan, Priscilla, Ed, Hannah, Dee Dee, Katie, Libby, Helen, Joanna, Zoe, Amy, Claire, Noreen, Jacqueline, Neve, Chloe, Brianna, Charlie, Abby, and our newest patron is the wonderful Helen. So thank you, Helen, for joining and supporting us. That's 26 now, Dave. Absolutely brilliant. Every night we do a Discord watch along, and it's been so humbling that everyone is supporting the show. So thank you, guys. And Dave, I think it's time for us to go, my friend.
It certainly is. So I shall be with you on the watch party tomorrow, and I'll speak to you next time.
Bye.